Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, where stories and other random things take center stage. So welcome to today's video. This is the third and final part for recommendations for after the Camelot Rising trilogy. So this is my final recommendations. We're gonna do the last 13. These are 25 to 37. I'm not as prepared. Hold on one second. I'm just trying to get this up because I'm usually prepared, but I had to reset my Bruno Touch because it didn't let me type and I had a hard time. Oh, it's not. Is it giving me an issue again? Seems like it's giving me an issue again. Or not. Confusing. But yeah, so these are like my last recommendations, and I hope you guys like the recommendations I gave before, but I definitely hope you guys like this one. So like I said in the last one, we are now moving into the watch list. The last recommendation I ended up was Dragon Ball, so we're now moving into the watch list. So let's begin. 25 is Naruto, another one I recommended. I'm so proud. But Naruto follows our titular character Naruto, who is basically an outcast in his village due to events 12 years earlier. 12 years earlier, there was basically the nine-tailed fox was basically caused a lot of destruction in the village, and in order to save the village, the current leader at the time, the fourth Hokage, sealed half of the nine-tailed fox into a newborn baby, and said newborn baby is Naruto. And because he is now the host of the nine-tailed fox, he's looked down upon by everyone. He's an outcast, but he has one goal, and that is to become Hokage, so that everyone would look up to him and finally respect him. So we kind of see him through his journey. It's just very cathartic to watch, honestly. 26 is Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm basically just recommending the original, and that is, it starts off basically Yugimoto, due to some circumstances, ends up defeating the world's dual monsters champion, or duelist champion, Seto Kaiba, and he attracts the attention of the dual monsters creator, Maximilian Pegasus, and he, due to that, now wants to challenge Yugi, and he challenges Yugi to a shadow game, which is kind of like a duel, but like with dark magic involved. And he does so, but with a timer of 15 minutes. Yugi unfortunately loses, and because he does, Pegasus takes his grandfather's soul, and now Yugi has to enter the Duelist Kingdom tournament in order to rescue his grandfather. Number 27, The Rising of the Shield Hero. I was hoping you were expecting this. I'm hoping you were expecting The Rising of the Shield Hero, because it was gonna come up, you know? So, The Rising of the Shield Hero follows Naofumi Uotani, who basically goes into a library kind of like looking for a new book to read, and he ends up finding this book about 4 heroes: the shield hero, the spear hero, the bow hero, and the sword hero. I think it's sword, yeah. And he ends up finding pretty much information on everyone except the shield hero, and as he's reading, he, along with 3 other men from an alternate version of Japan, are transported to this kingdom, to Melromark? Is it called? I forgot the name of the kingdom. Is it called Melromark? I think it is Melromark. And they are all asked by the king at the time to help them save their worlds from the waves of catastrophe. And basically these are like these strange, I guess, phenomenon that basically end up causing a lot of issues in their kingdom, and they end up doing so. But when the time comes for them to go level up and go into an adventure, oh yeah, by the way, this works kind of like a video game, the world. So when they go to the adventure, however, nobody wants to accompany the shield hero because they consider him the lowest of them all. Basically, they consider him a loser. And he ends up you know, there was like, because he doesn't know enough about the world, right? So eventually the one of them ends up accompanying him, a woman by the name of Mine, and she ends up seducing him and making him buy her like armor and all that stuff, only to later accuse him of committing a crime he did not commit. And after his privileges are taken away, his way to make money, everything is taken away, and we kind of watch what happens after, because he ends up becoming very dark. What a series. Number 28, The Seven Deadly Sins. So The Seven Deadly Sins follows Elizabeth, who is the third princess of Leonis, and she is on a quest to find a band of knights known as Seven Deadly Sins, who supposedly committed a crime 10 years earlier, and she wants their help to get back her kingdom. And on her way to do so, she ends up, due to some circumstances, bumping into, or accidentally bumping into Meliodas, who is the captain of the Seven Deadly Sins, and he agrees to help her reunite the knights, and because he also has a score to settle with them and answers to get. The next one I'm recommending is Violet Evergarden. So Violet Evergarden follows, by the way, I like how we went from extremely dark anime to a really, really cute, wholesome, and light one. Anyway, Violet Evergarden follows Violet, and she now has to find her way, because she used to be in the war, but now that the war is over, she now has to find a new path in this new world. And so she decides to become an auto memory doll, and they're basically kind of like scribes. They basically write letters for other people, and because of that she kind of gets to know different people. But the reason she chooses to do this is because she wants to find out what the last words that her supervisor said mean, and said words were, "I love you." It is such a beautiful journey. 30, Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket follows Toru Honda, who is a sweet and bubbly girl, and basically she lives in a tent because there are renovations going on in her grandfather's home. The reason she's not with her parents is because her father passed away when she was little, and then her mom passed away very recently, like the year before. And due to certain circumstances, she ends up moving into with the Somas. And what she ends up finding out, though, is by other circumstances, is that they are under a curse. And that is that when certain members of the family, when they are hugged by the opposite sex, they turn into one of the Chinese zodiac animals. And there are other secrets that she eventually does find out. But like, she's allowed to keep the secret by the head of the family. But there are other things that are happening too. 31, Ouran High School Host Club. I actually tend to recommend these very closely all the time, because they kind of came out in like the same like decade. Fruits Basket, like the original Fruits Basket, comes out in like 2001. Now there's a reboot for it. And then there is a what is that called? Can't think. Oh, and then there's Ouran High School Host Club that comes out in 2006. Oh, by the way, Ouran High School Host Club seriously needs a reboot. Come on, make it happen, people. Make a reboot happen. Anyway, Ouran High School Host Club follows Haruhi Fujioka, who is looking for a quiet place to study, and in her search ends up stumbling into an abandoned music room, which is Music Room 3, and she ends up meeting the Host Club, which consists of the most handsome boys in the school who have way too much time in their hands, who entertain young ladies who also have way too much time in their hands. And she accidentally breaks an 8 million yen vase that they were going to sell. 8 million yen is about $76,000 in US, last I checked. So, yeah. You know what? Let's double check that. Hold on. How much is 8 million yen in US dollars? Let's see if she chooses to answer me. Locomotor, night sky, button. Calculator, heading. I guess not. Calculator, button. Listen, button. Listen, button. No, she chose not to answer today. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, so basically, yes, she, it's about that amount, last I checked. So now she has to work as an errand boy to pay it off, because yes, they think she's a boy. However, she ends up climbing up to host, and one thing they figure out eventually is that Haruhi is a girl, and now the club has to keep her secret. 32 is Winx Club. So Winx Club follows Bloom, who, due to events, ends up, and a trip to the park, ends up bumping into Stella, who is a fairy, and she defends her, and Bloom finds out that she herself is a fairy, and basically after convincing her parents, basically, she ends up going to Althea with Stella, and we kind of follow her journey there, as she figures out, her powers, but also as she tries to figure out the mystery of her birth parents. 33, Shira and the Princesses of Power. So, we follow Adora, who was trained by the Horde, and basically they're this evil empire, kind of like that. And she ends up is there, but she doesn't know what's happening on the outside, but she is the one who is basically attempting to, she's basically just on their side and everything. But one night she goes out, and due to certain circumstance, she finds this sword, and she transforms into this, and she finds out all about Shira and all this stuff that the Horde has done. So she switches sides, and she ends up working for with the rebellion, and she, along with Glimmer, work together to try to bring back the Princess Alliance. So, okay, 34, the Dragon Prince. So the Dragon Prince follows Rayla, Callum, and Ezra, as they work together to right a wrong. So basically, Rayla is an elven assassin who basically is set to kill Ezra, who is the prince of Katalis, because they believe that the dragon egg, the dragon prince, basically the egg of the dragon prince, has been destroyed, and they want revenge on that. And basically the elves and dragons and humans are at war, so they want revenge on that. So the best way to do that is to kill the prince, right? She's about to do that, but then they end up discovering that the egg is not destroyed, that it is actually still there because Viren did not destroy it. And they go on a quest to try to, in order to return the egg to its mother, and basically give her, get some peace in a way. They try to make peace. 35 is Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love this one. Avatar: The Last Airbender follows Aang, who is found in an iceberg by siblings Sokka and Katara, and he has been there for 100 years. For about 100 years. So he basically wakes up to war, because it turns out the Fire Nation declared war on all the other nations. And they and all this stuff. Due to events, we find out that he's the Avatar, who is basically the bridge between the real world and the spirit world, but he is also the only person that can master all 4 elements. And he goes on a journey to, master the elements, right? In order to help the world and stop the war. But he finds out that he has to master the elements before before by the end of summer, because there's this comet known as Sozin's Comet that is basically arriving and would give the Fire Nation amazing powers, and he has to defeat the Fire Lord before that happens. So he's basically on a race against the clock. 36, The Legend of Korra. This is basically the sequel to Avatar: The Last Airbender. It takes place, I think it's about like 70 years after Avatar: The Last Airbender does. And we follow Korra in as she ends up going to Republic City, which is this new city where benders and non-benders alike can be can be together and stuff like that. And basically they can be together and everything, and and she goes there in order to basically go on her own avatar journey. And last but not least, 37, Lucifer. I do not remember if I probably have recommended this series, but I can't fully remember. But basically, I'm pretty sure I did though. Lucifer follows the king of hell, who is bored of ruling hell. So he decides to take a vacation and goes to Los Angeles and opens a nightclub, and he ends up meeting a homicide detective, and he ends up helping her solve the murder investigations. That is like the best way I can describe it. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed these recommendations. Next videos should be... Okay, I actually don't know what my next video is going to be about. So, I guess we'll find out based on what order I can get them out on. So, I don't know. But with that, I will leave you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in my next video. And until then, if you have any recommendations, let me know. And consume stories.